Hello and welcome to another tutorial. It's actually not a tutorial, it's more a couple of tips. I've been asked on Instagram how I created this motion blur I used for this artwork. So actually, I'm going to show you that on that example. I have a background layer and this additional photo I masked out the top of it. That's what we have here in the smart object. Then I saved that and added a motion blur. So you can see it here, a motion blur. And here I have a background, a simple gradient background. And on top of this, I added some color corrections to make it like that to use. But I'm going to show you that from scratch. Basically, I just delete those layers and then I'm going to add a new layer. I have here a photo from Unsplash. I put the link in the description so you can download it and follow along. I mask out the background. We don't want that. I mark the background. Now you can either tip on your keyboard, Control Shift I to make an opposite of it, and then here adding a layer mask, or much more easy, I'm going to show you that, you keep the background and then you add directly a negative mask by holding Alt or Option on your keyboard and clicking on the mask button. It's much more easy actually. So then we convert that in a smart object and go to Filter, Blur, Motion Blur, and here we have 0, the angle is 0, and then here you can play with different intensities. So you see this has been affected a little bit here, the background. That's not okay, but you can avoid that by adding here on the smart object mask. I mask the background, what I want to mask. I have black in the foreground color, and I'm on my smart filter mask, and now I hit Alt and Delete, so we get rid of it. That's actually done then. However, then I've been asked how I can reach that without using any photo. It's pretty easy actually. What you have to do, you add a new document, you make a new document, but then usually I use 4000 in width and 5000 pixels in height. But now you have to make it landscape. You will see in a minute why. So we change that. We make 5000 in the width and 4000 in the height. Make it 300 dpi. Say OK. Then you add, maybe you want to have it like a blue motion blur. So what I'm going to do, I take a very light blue. Let's take maybe this one. I have it in the foreground color. I hit Alt and Delete to fill it. Make a smart object because I want to change it later maybe. Then I go to Filter, and then I render filter, and you take this Fawson. Sorry for the English. So I keep it at 16 and 4 for the moment. That's okay. This filter only works vertically, so that's why we changed it to landscape. To have another option, I added the same filter again. This time I make it 622, for example. You can play with the amounts here. It looks a bit different. And I want to show you that you can change that, the look, how it looks, by double-clicking on this little icon here. You get this window, and then you change the blending mode. You want it lighter, or you maybe want it darker, more contrast. I keep it like that, just to show you. However, what we have to do now, we have to make a smart object of this, because if we don't do that, this effect is only working vertically. You can change that in any way you want. It keeps it vertically. So we have to make a container of it to fix it actually. That's what we do now. And then we can simply drag that to our composition. And now Control T, we can change it easily. If you hold Shift, it snaps into place. And then we bring it. You see, on the right side, we have a little bit weird, this effect a little bit weird. So we stretch it a bit, simply make it a bit bigger, and then put it in place where we want to have it. So I keep it in the same way approximately and keep it here and hit enter. Then we do the same. We have a smart object already. We go to filter, motion blur, and then you can also play with this, with the amounts. The cool effect of this is now, if you reopen this smart object, you can play with those effects. So if you want to rechange, if you don't think it's cool looking for your composition, you maybe want it like that, hit OK, save, and go back to your composition, and your effect has been changed. You see? So you can play with those effects. You can also play reopening it. You maybe want another color, maybe you want it darker. Let's make it a bit darker. And then bluish, more bluish, like this. Then we Alt and delete, filling with the foreground color. Then we save it, Control S, Control Command S. Then we are here. You see, we changed it slightly color. I can't see it properly. Maybe we changed blending mode again. Let's hit, let me see what this is, too dark, I guess. We keep it. Then we make Control S and Control Command S and go back. So we have it here. Of course, you can add some effects with color adjustment, but that's how it works. But as I'm here now, I'm going to show you a couple of tips more. So did you know when you crop it, maybe you want to crop it, and you usually know you have these overlays here, these lines. You can change those lines. You can do another to play with your composition placing. This is sometimes a nice guide how to place your subjects. But it's much easier when you just hit O on your keyboard, then you can go through those lines just with one click without using your mouse. That's one tip. Another tip is overscroll. So maybe let's check in your Photoshop session, but when you press the spacebar on your keyboard, then you get this little hand, and then you can move that. Can you do that in your Photoshop session? So if you can't, there is one simple thing you have to activate. Go to Voreinstellungen, this is presets, or I guess presets it's in English. Then you go to Tools, and you have this overscroll here. If you don't tick that, I'm going to change you that, and I press my spacebar with the hand, I can't move. So this is pretty handy because you can move it all the time around. And for example, if you have a smaller screen or a notebook, it's really handy to activate it because it's very convenient to work with. So I'm going to reactivate this here. And now if I press my spacebar, I can move it around. So I go back to this layer. You maybe wonder why I added this layer mask to this to the effect. I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you why that happened. We can avoid that. I'm going to reactivate, right click, reactivate, because when I scaled it first before I masked it. That's, you do it so you shouldn't do mask it first and then scale it. It's a bad thing. So let me add more mask and have black in the foreground, Alt and delete, and we have it here, and we save that. It's not exactly, but for the moment it's okay. Let's save this, and then we go back to our effect, and now if we deactivate, it's okay. That's the way it goes. So let me know if you have any questions, or let me have any comments. Is there anything you want to know? Let me know and I make a tutorial. Thanks for watching.